And we are back here once again with another episode of the Iron Man podcast, episode 314, with Mr. John's Long Box. Almost butchered that. Holy crap. CNN told me that black people can't read, and they might have been right. But this is going to be John's second appearance, actually. Last time we talked about like his origin story, Marvel Comics and DC Comics and all that stuff. But this time around, I want to talk about like indie comics and like art versus story, have some fun there. Because as you guys probably have, or if you guys didn't check out the first episode where John's first appearance was, I highly recommend going and checking out his first appearance. That way you kind of get to know John and anyone that I have on for a second appearance. It's always good to go and check out their first appearances. That way you kind of get familiar with the person, because when it comes down to the second appearances, I have to kind of dig more into them, see how their brain works actually. Because they leave me, and then I'm like, when they come back to me, we get another show going. It's like, Dad, yep, yeah, I know, son. First time, yeah, first time. It's like my kids going to college and they come back and they graduate. It's like, Dad, school system sucks and it's all corrupted by leftist communists. It's like, honey, I know. I know. You just made me pay for this because I love you, actually. So what's going on with you, man? How you doing?
Pretty good. I can't complain about anything. How are you doing?
I'm old at this point. Old and black.
How old are you?
29.
That's old. I wish I was that old.
I mean, because I would tell people this, because everyone knows you're in like Long Beach, which is like New York to some degree, right? I know New York is going through the ringer right now because your guys as politicians. I probably can't talk about this on YouTube generally, but like your politicians are terrible. Your politicians are just like straight, like, I don't know if they like worship Satan, but it looks like they legitimately sold their souls to Satan. Just saying.
Where do you live?
Me? I'm in California. And my politicians did that too. So
yeah, I grew up in Nassau County, and then I moved into to the 5 boroughs. I moved into Queens. Mm-hmm. And then during the whole COVID thing, I had to get out of Queens. It was just getting insane. And now I live out in Suffolk, and I'm happy as can be. Suffolk seems to be pretty sane. Nassau seems to be pretty sane, but the 5 boroughs, you don't want to go. New York City is falling apart. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
if you get mugged and then you defend yourself, you go to jail. The mugger goes free.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There was 2 things that I had read through. Like, these are stories that when I go back on Twitter, because everyone who's gonna watch this on YouTube, I can't post on Twitter for a week because someone did something to my account. Let's just say that, right? And the last things I had read from like New York, like these are things I just have to mute because it just does such a bad state on your mental. So there was one thing, a guy like went on vacation, came back, people were living in his house.
Yep.
And he tried to evict them, but they can't because
squatters' rights.
Yeah. Then the other thing, just yesterday, they proposed this like $58 million bill to give like a bunch of immigrants like this prepaid debit card BS. I'm like, why aren't people rioting in the streets for this? You're going to be working all those late hours for this?
They vote Democrat. Just keep, I say that at work all the time. Keep voting Democrat. And everybody gnashes their teeth. I'm like,
yeah.
You voted for this. You voted for this. What else do you want me to do? We got an unelected governor that is just well, I guess she's elected now, but it's just.
All right, yeah, that. Man, I know our state is terrible, but I feel like it's actually just worse over there. It has to be way worse because at least here the immigrant crisis isn't like that bad yet. But bro, the fact that immigrants
they closed a school and they busted.
I remember that, yeah.
And now they're this. And here's the sinister part: is that district in Brooklyn was a Republican district.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me that wasn't targeting your political enemies.
Yeah. So for who's going to watch this and I forgot the story. They literally like a few weeks ago or closer to the end of last year, they shut down a private school to house immigrants in there. A private, a public school shutting down public school to freaking house immigrants.
What? And in Boston, they Massachusetts rather, they closed a community center in a black neighborhood. And filled it with immigrants, but all the wealthy people who vote Democrat, their community is not impacted. I always say that progressives want other people to do things.
Right, yeah. It's always a crazy thing, man.
Want other people to farm.
Do you know what I also hate when people bring up constantly with the whole immigrant thing is they have that old line of thinking that was true, but it's definitely not true now, where people know the saying, oh, they just want to come over here for a better life. Yeah, okay, so people, I don't doubt that some of them want that, but it's idiotic to think that all of them want that and absorb America's values. Yeah, I agree that some of them probably want to leave and get a better country.
I mean, getting free money and free housing and is a better life than the third world countries that they live in. But how do we owe that to everybody? My wife is an immigrant. She filled out the paperwork.
She did it legally. Yeah.
My grandfather was an immigrant. You know, he came here legally. Both grandparents. Matter of fact, all four of my grandparents. You know, they came from Ireland and Italy. You know,
my ex and her sister and her mother aren't technically legal. They have a work visa or whatever you call it, right? To like live and work, to have a job and stuff like that here. Legal. Yeah. It's one of those things where like there are people here that did it the right way, everything that they were told to do. And then at that point, would it be wrong if like your grandparents were like, can I get a refund? Because like if they come over for free and I got to do nothing to be citizens, and why did yours have to do that? Just give them money back.
It's like, why did I pay my student loans off if other people just getting them paid off? Because you're buying votes.
That's why I think the best Twitter account made of all time is Clown World. Just by far and away, easily top 10 accounts made in Twitter. This is what we're living in.
That people who got business degrees didn't need to get their student loans forgiven, but
those gender study degrees.
When you got gender studies,
Oh man, those gender study degrees. I'm glad those are scams. Oh god. But yeah, venturing into the world of comics. I love it. So last time I talked to you, you were talking about doing your own book actually. You showed a image of it. So I want to ask you this, because like, a lot of people always say they're going to do things better than everyone else and it's going to be like the best thing ever. I don't doubt it. Whenever you do have your book ready, I'll definitely get it, man. I love diving into indie stories. So
sooner rather than later. I'm not giving definite dates because
that's a good thing. I'm pretty sure you learned all the
I learned from other people. When you give definite dates, people get mad at you. And I'm learning on the fly. I'm learning as I go. I surrounded myself with experts who know what they're doing, so but sooner rather than later, matter of fact, I just got a response back from like my main graphic design guy. So I after we're done talking, I got to send him some files and get this thing chugging, because I'm chomping at the bit just to get this campaign going.
Have you like thought about the day it's like actually done and you're done with the printing process and you can open the box from the printer and you see the book done for the first time?
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great. That's gonna be great.
You should actually film that, actually opening and seeing
that's
it.
That's a good idea.
Everyone I've talked to says
proofs. Yeah, I'm gonna get the proofs, and then if I sell 99 copies, I'll do it myself, fulfill.
Oh yeah.
But if I get over 100, I'm going to do a critical blast, and they, so I won't get them. They'll get shipped right from the printer to him, and then I'll get whatever's left over. But the proofs, I got to approve. I got to open it up, and they put like stickers right on it, so you're not going to go sell them. You know what I mean? But they let you know the print. That I'll definitely be showing everybody. Oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Everyone I've talked to that has been a parent and has raised kids for a while, they said it's almost just like having your first kid. You just
I can imagine, like, Ethan Van Sciver when he opened up his action figures for the first time. That's got to be cool. I made this. I got a pint glass. That's the name of my comic, Heroic Tales.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And then here's the if you could see it, there's the patriarch symbol on that. So it's going good. Renzo Rodriguez, my artist, is chugging a long way. Every day he sends me some artwork. I got a stretch goal of unheroic tales about a villain that'll appear later on, his origin, and that's going to be my model. I want to have a main story with Renzo, and then a backup story with different artists. People that I like working with, people I want to show off or whatever, and it's looking good. I just saw a couple of pages, so I'm auditioning a few people, and I haven't made the decision who's gonna do the backup yet. But hopefully, I'll have a bunch of issues, and I could have everybody take a shot at the backup.
There's also the other thing that I've seen, like what I like about the indie creators in general is if the mainstream stuff isn't doing it for me, because I still have this thing. I still dive into that stuff to review it and commentate on it because I've never been the guy where I'm like, new movie comes out, I call it trash because I haven't seen it. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
No,
I'll go in there.
If you notice, I'm quiet about modern Marvel and Marvel
Yeah.
because I haven't bought new Marvel and DC off the stand since 2015. Why would I talk about it?
Yeah.
I don't talk about Star Wars. I haven't seen Star Wars since the second movie of the new trilogy, and I don't watch The Mandalorian. It just wasn't to my liking, so I'm not going to hate watch something. I got, I got, look at this. I got this stack of comics right over here to read. I'm gonna spend my time hate watching Star Wars.
Yeah, man. Like that's my thing. Is I've told people this. I would never call something bad if I haven't watched it because that's
Right.
just not fair. That's not fair to that.
Right.
And it might be bad.
Legitimately bad, but if I didn't watch it, I didn't earn the right to say that.
Yeah, like people say, but the trailer could have shown me it's bad. Guys, there have been plenty of movies with bad trailers, with good movies, good trailers, bad movies. Yeah, that's just my thing. I feel like it's so disingenuous, honestly.
I try to have as much good faith as possible. Like,
yeah,
I send out, I do conversations with people, on my channel, and I'm inviting people on my channel that I know we disagree with, but I'll have a good faith. I don't want to come on and call them names and insult. Like, I'd like to talk to people that I disagree with. It turns out most people I agree with, but then again, it seems like our side are more willing to talk to the other side.
I'll do it. Like I learned that with the whole Snyder Cut thing.
Ooh,
yeah,
my voice cracked. I finally hit puberty. I would love to have Mark Waid on my channel and talk with him. First off, he is a phenomenal comic book writer. He wrote some legendary comics. I would love to talk about that. And then but when the topic of Comicsgate stuff comes on, I'd love to discuss it with him. Without, I won't insult, and if he could maintain himself, I think that would be a fascinating conversation.
It's that second part. If he can maintain himself, that's just not possible for that guy. The guy is literally a lunatic.
Yeah, but
because like that thing you had right there that you brought up.
Right-wing Nazis, we could have civil discussions. I just think that the good, saintly, lordly progressives, they won't even try.
I just find it so crazy that if people actually knew the history of like the KKK, okay, so people, the last thing the KKK are doing are going to comic book shops every Wednesday, trying to like brainstorm in their head. I imagine they have a round table of KKK members going, how do we infiltrate the nerd community of all the communities that make, the most impact in the world? You know what? How about we start buying Black Panther omnibuses? That'll show the black people we're not racist. It's like, no, guys, that doesn't happen. No, these guys don't sit around going, man, I'm gonna go to my local comic book shop every Wednesday to go and infiltrate the kids. Like, imagine if a KKK member actually bought a Static Shock book. Bro, like, people are stupid, man. Yeah, KKK members are out here buying Yu-Gi-Oh trading cards. Yeah, they're doing that. Like,
I got two buddies that are high up in the FBI. The KKK barely exists. They're not even a concern. These are rank and file FBI's. These aren't the high ranking guys that are spying on teachers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they said that the last time they took a census on that there's less than like 2,000 legit KKK members, and it probably, like, my cousin claims that they're all over the place. I'm like, well, I don't know where you live where everybody's a KKK. Maybe you should move. But they're not a concern anymore. They're nothing. They don't exist. And same with Nazis. The only Nazis are 99-year-old guys living in Argentina who changed their name. You know what I mean? That there's no Nazis anymore. This is just
so childish. Pretty sure if anyone
has been, people will be studying this. Your kids, your grandkids are going to be asking you questions when you're old in your chair. Were people really crazy in 2018? Yeah,
Yeah, they legitimately believed in boogeymen, like white supremacists were going to comic book shops buying Black Panther omnibuses to show how inclusive they were.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I said that the comic book world is going insane, but you know what? my wife is on she's active on a couple of online communities, and it's just like the sweetest communities. One of them is they just post pictures of nature, like of a squirrel or
That's cool.
and they're freaking yelling and screaming about Nazis, and and she's just like, oh my god, people just putting, look at, there was a gopher in my backyard, isn't this cute? And then Trump. So it's everything. It's just that we're into comic books, so we see it. But everybody has gone crazy. It makes me almost think that maybe the government put something in the water, because people are insane.
It's legitimately.
I think we're turning a corner, though. I think we're turning a corner, and we're gonna get back to normal.
Yeah, like all this like comic book drama, man, has just been so stupid. Honestly, like, is it any different than like the mainstream? Because if you look at the reason why it's different here in the indie sphere compared to like the mainstream people will just straight up tell you the game. They'll tell you why they're pieces of shit, why they hate you, every reason why. And at least from that point of view, you're like, oh, okay, I don't like, good, cool. People around here will just pretend to like you. You start surpassing them a little bit, then they hate your guts, and it's like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to know what's going on. Like, I have like an angel and a devil on my shoulder. Find out what's going on. Find out what's going on. And then I got the angel. Just talk about comic books. Just talk about. And I've been listening to the angel. Although last night, you'll laugh, I started writing, and I was gonna make up fake DMs. I was gonna make up like fake, Masterswag said this, and then just make up something so ridiculous that everybody would understand, and just act shocked and horrified, and like I was gonna see if my wife had a pearl necklace. I was gonna make like a goofy comedy hour-long video of fake DMs. I was gonna make up stuff from Heather Antos and Richard Meyer and Heath and Van Skyr. I thought it would be funny, and then at the lesson, I'm just like, nah, maybe someday, maybe something. But I think it would be funny. Make up fake DMs.
Well, I would like your confession.
That's drama. Even fake drama is drama.
So I want to have John's confession, which is I actually commissioned him to draw me a cover page for my comic book coming up called BLM for Life, because I definitely support BLM. He's asking for a $4,000 page rate plus 40% of the sales. Yeah.
There you go.
It turns out John was like, you know what? BLM is trash. And I was like, you know what? There you go.
This is how well I could draw. This is a character sketch that I sent to Renzo. And this is like a layout for the cover that I sent to Renzo. That's how good I could draw. That's worth $4,000, right?
Right. And plus 40% of the sales.
40% sales. BLM. What's it going to be called? Black Laser Man. I'm trying to think of a superhero.
By Large Mansions. There you go.
By Large Mansions. I lost a group of friends because I just said, Black Lives Matter is a scam, and they couldn't differentiate between the organization and actual black people. They thought I was talking about. I said, guys, you're 30, 35 years old. You're all college educated. You can't understand, what do they call it? There's a term for that when you use. I know
ignorant. That's what I call them.
No, but there's in the Civil War. I forget who the congressman was or the senator, but his brother was killed in the Civil War, and he would bring his brother's bloody shirt to the Senate floor. And anytime somebody would say something he would disagree, he would hold up the bloody shirt. My brother died. This is his. And everybody shut up because you know what I mean. So that's an old-fashioned term, bloody shirt politics. It's when you just like it's an appeal to, emotion or you know what I mean. So, but that's not quite it. But that's kind of when guys, you can't understand like Black Lives. It's a name that is the same thing as the bloody shirt. It's an appeal to your emotion to make you bulletproof to criticism. And I'm like, I can't believe you're all college educated professional people and you can't understand so they got mad at me and we don't talk anymore.
Like that's what really happened with the name like that, because a name like Black Lives Matter already, just by that name alone, I'll get the person who ever made that name. You did a good job on that name.
Perfect. It's perfect.
All it does is
invoke divided the country. It did exactly what it was supposed to create division, and it created division. And then you weren't allowed to say white lives matter or
all lives matter.
All lives matter. And then there was a special dispensation for Asian lives matter. which
Stop Asian Hate. That was the one. Yeah. Fucking hell. Like, look how quickly that dissolved. Because it turns out white people don't admit this, black people actually did a lot more of the crime to the other races than the stuff being done to them. See, there you go. I'm just saying, a lot of people are like, look up the statistics. I did. Actually, the crimes from black people to other people are so much more exponentially larger than it being vice versa. The media lied to you people. Y'all gobbled it up like NPCs you do. You started regurgitating it, but none of you ever actually looked at the stats because that will require taking responsibility for your own actions. Most people do not do that.
I mean, you're pulling me more into politics than I'm, but the statistics show that races experience more violence from their own race because it just makes sense. Mm-hmm. You live in a neighborhood, like, white people live in a neighborhood with a lot of white people. Of course, there's going to be violence, whites on white. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But whatever.
Yeah, it's one of those things where people
are probably nastier to Germans than French are to Germans because there's more Germans next to each other.
Also, I've learned, do not confuse Puerto Ricans with Mexicans and Spanish people. They do not like that.
No,
I'm just saying, hey,
Dominican or Haitian. That's
I always tell them, hey man, you guys all rap the same. You guys rap better than our rappers here. You guys got that, tied to us. But I want to ask you this: since how many indie comic books have you like pretty much consumed?
Oh, jeez, I have 55,000 comics, and I'm in the process of rebuilding my database. My computer crashed and I lost, so I couldn't even. I would say a third of my collection is indie comics. The large majority is Marvel and DC. So but I mean, I was just reading Cat and Mouse. This is by Aircell Comics. Before that, Eclipse Comics. I'm a big fan of Eclipse. This is just stuff I'm reaching over that I read today. First Comics, are these independents? I don't know. I could. What do you consider independent?
The ones you had from your last video, where you had got stuff from like Phoenix Press. Nick, right, from Phoenix Press. That is the last video you did. So I would say like more recent indie stuff you probably read.
Okay. So you talk like right now. There's the crowdfund stuff. Okay. All right. Geez. I just got a Alpha Core. I
did read that. I read that. Okay.
I got those. I'm looking right at Cyberfrog right over there.
Did you get Project Noasis?
I pledged it. I didn't get it yet.
Okay.
So, what else? This I just got off Bolt Action from Fund My Comic. It's like a magazine. I'll show. I just got Dead Crew. I pledged Wolf and Batsy. That's launching. I just pledged for the Alterna. I got Wraith of God. What else? I mean, I'm afraid to go through the stack, but the Dan Fraga.
There was one that was super cheap that I bought, and Ryder CS. Did you get Ryder CS Johnson's book? Did Discord?
No, I can't. Sometimes things go. If I didn't get it, it's not because I didn't like it. Most likely, it's because I didn't hear it. Odds are, if you've been on my channel, I backed your book. I just read Atrocity Press, Mary Machine Gun. But if I didn't get your book, it's because I just didn't see it. I try to back a lot. I'm backing a lot of stuff. Oh, I just got these. I forgot about this. Silverline.
Ooh.
These, I really love the printing on this. Kablam is a company that prints the comics. But I just got this bundle. I just got Chrome Dog. What else did I get? What is this? Mr. Monster. This was a crowdfunding. Michael T. Gilbert will be on my channel next week.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a fool back and everything.
I buy too much.
It's got Battlefield Road. I haven't read it yet.
I need to get that. That actually looks really good. That's been
awesome.
Been on my list for a while to get, actually, because I usually write down some of the indie books that I actually want to get. So the indie books I want to get is Battlefield Road, Dean Cain All American, and obviously the Eric stuff when he drops that. I got Crockett comic books too, the Ogolite. Here, I'll bring it up right now. You never heard Crockett comics? I just had them.
No. Again, it's not
The owner, the CEO, will actually come on your show if you email him, because I'm going to email him to see if you want to come on.
Yeah.
Let
a
me
lot,
see.
a lot of these guys, they're really into promoting, which is what you got to do. You know, you got to nobody's going to promote me. You got to do it yourself. You know, and I don't expect anybody else to promote me. You know, I'm trying to look at what other stuff. Is Battlebrook Road, Wraith of God. What else? What else did I get? I'm just. Oh, okay. Here's more stuff. Fatal. I haven't read this yet. I'm afraid I'm knocking over my stacks of comics over here. They're already teetering.
You know what I hate about owning so many books, man, is that the feeling of buying one is good, but I bet you probably have so many packages lying around of books you've probably bought you haven't got a chance to open yet.
You can't see it, oh, there you can. You see this box? I just got boxes and boxes of empty
mine's are in there.
Yeah.
It's a lot. There's like omnibuses in there and stuff like that. There are some stories that I know people want me to read, so I'm gonna get the Clone Saga omnibus. Actually,
okay.
A lot of people are very on the fence about that story. I never read it, so I'll be my first time reading it. And I figured to myself, I'm not trying to get a bunch of like trade paperbacks. I want it all together, all in one. Give it to me, please. Please let that be good, because the omnibuses are like $90, $100. So I better be getting a good story out of these. Otherwise, I'm
I agree.
breaking someone's neck. I was told someone, if you're buying an omnibus, that shit better come brand new, sealed, or you don't buy that at all. Just saying, those are a lot of money. I'm buying that used with cum stains on it. What? No way.
Yeah. What else? Oh, I just bought this. An old book, all in color, like it's a history of comics.
Cool.
Randy Zimmerman was on my channel. He recommended it, so I had to get that.
Oh, I like Randy. Yeah, Randy's awesome.
Randy's a good guy. Yeah, ask him to do his Stan Lee impersonation. It's really good.
This was Crockett.
Oh, that looks great. That looks really good.
Yeah, issue number 1 is sold out actually, but you can get it on Indie Planet actually. But, oh, good lord! Yeah, that's some of the titles.
Looks really good.
Yeah, the art was great.
I must have missed it.
Yeah, good lord, man, stuff is good actually.
Could you put the link in the comments?
Yeah. I'll DM it to you on Twitter, okay?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'll put it in the comments for anybody watching this.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, get the guys some sales. You were talking about jealousy before. I must be weird. I don't get jealous. You know, when I see somebody else doing good, I'm like, all right, I could do that. You know, when I saw Eric July making $3 million on a comic, I'm like, wow, that's how much you could make. I mean, I have no illusions that I'll make $3 million, but it's good to know that the sky's the limit, you know?
Well, that's the thing I wanted to bring up to you, which is, you know, a lot of people look at that and go, I want all that money, but there's going to be a lot of people that's just not attainable for a lot of people. What I think is a good thing to have is having a nice sized fan base that just like buying your stuff because they like your stuff. You know, whether that's 100 people, 200 people, 300 people. Like, imagine that having consistently 400 people that like buying your book specifically, and they'll wait for it. You know, it's an awesome feeling to have.
I would love to have 1,000 sales. You know, that I don't know, something about that number. You know, of course I want to make the money because I want to be able to fund this. I've been saying this. Number 1 is coming out. You know, number 1 is coming out. Number 2, it depends on how much money I make, because I can't. You know, I'm a blue collar guy. I can't just keep, you know, taking a loss for every issue. So if you know, I'm gonna put my goal as $1,000 when I do my campaign, but I have to make $5,000 to pay for the next comic. You know, between all the art and the coloring and all the computer graphics, and you know, I got to hire somebody to make logos because I can only write. I have no artistic ability whatsoever. So it should go smoother next time because I got a good team now.
Yeah, this is kind of like when you have your first kid thing. You get through all the first time trials of everything. So it's all more easy when you have a second kid. That's what they say. I mean, it's never exactly easy, you know.
Yeah. But you know, and I look at other people's campaigns. And I'm like, wow, you know, they're doing it. You know, I because a lot of people they think it's like a zero-sum loss. There's a lot of money out there, and
I agree.
Guys in this political side of the fence, we seem to have pretty good jobs and some skills and some.
Yeah. We actually valued like money, and not being homeless and broke, living off the government.
I don't know what you do for your full-time job, but I do construction. I'm an electrician. We do pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hear when you actually have jobs in demand that people want to hire for, you actually got to keep your. Yeah. Probably a good thing.
My friends all have good jobs, so they can afford a comic, but so and then they get paid again next week. They can buy another comic. So yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you, since you said you going to be the only doing like the writing portion of it. Have you had people like read your stuff, like friends and family?
Not so much family, because they don't give you good criticism. You know what I mean?
They never do. It's always like, oh yeah, it's good because you're my
not
friend.
Interested. And if they're not interested, I don't want them to read it. Most of my family doesn't read comics. They'll read mine. Oh wow, who knows if they'll read issue 9, but they'll read issue 1 because, oh wow, this is a cool novelty. But I've been getting friends, a lot of friends who are into comics, so they understood what I was going for. They understood, like, because it's panel description. When you give them a script, it's not drawn, so they understood. Okay, this is what you're going for and everything. I got it, and a lot of good criticism. And I got a couple of friends that are English majors and legit writers that aren't into comics, and man, their criticism was rough because they didn't get the medium of comics, so they were just like criticizing other things that I didn't think of, and I guess a non, so and that was rough, but it's not like they hated me and they hated my story. Like, they're not into superheroes, so they thought it was childish. You know what I mean? Because to them, they're reading Proust and Shakespeare.
These people are reading like big giant novels.
Yeah,
they're like,
they're into highfalutin, pretentious literature. So I thought that criticism was really good because but they're also not my target audience. But it's also it was good faith criticism, and let me put it that way. And it was rough, man. I got mad. You get your feelings hurt. I don't care what anybody says. You get your feelings hurt. You don't say anything. You say thank you. You think about it, and then you're like, yeah, they were right.
Yeah. That's the thing. When I first went through this, when people gave me harsh criticism, I would like fucking rant and rave. But
hey, you get mad. You're stupid. Understand? You just got to keep your mouth shut and absorb it. Like,
it's gonna be like, for anyone that's doing this, whether you're a content creator or a writer or anything, because I've been a writer myself. Probably get back to it very soon. Hopefully, maybe. I'm black. I can't really read either or write, as CNN said. But there's gonna be a time of the day when you're like doing laundry, you're getting like some food at the supermarket, or whatever, and you're gonna be like, you know what? That person was probably telling the truth. Yeah, maybe he was right. Maybe I did suck at this. But I think that's what people need to hear. If you hear you suck at something, you'll want to try to improve it, even though you're not trying to do it just for that one person. You'll be like, it'll make you question. That's good. You need to do that. Because, a lot of people do in this space, man. I hate it when someone always says, oh, your stuff's really good. All these guys always say, this stuff's really good. This stuff's really good. Then you can't improve then. If everyone's saying your stuff is really good, you can't improve. Then logically, by that logic, you should have all the sales then. If you can't improve and your stuff's really good, where's the sales numbers at? Because I sure ain't seeing them. So your stuff must suck on some level, actually.
Well, in this crowdfunding site, it's also like, you just showed me that comic that looked awesome. I just didn't buy it because I didn't know about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a combination of there's luck, there's talent, there's publicity, and then there's also you're selling yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Renzo has fans. The guy's my artist, Renzo Rodriguez. I'm sure he has fans, and I'm sure people want to buy it because of his artwork. But nobody's buying it because my story yet, because I never published anything yet. So other people are buying it because they like me. You know what I mean? So I'm part of the product. I'm proud of the product myself. Gee, that was tough to say. So that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to stay out of the drama, because then it's, if I come out and say, like, vote blue and vote red, then the other side's I'm dividing my audience in half. You know what I mean? So I don't want to get involved in the drama. These guys are partially right. These guys are partially wrong. These guys are partially right. You know what I mean? But I'm an adult. My friends could fight, and I can still be friends with both of them, is the way I look at it. So
my thing is, I think a lot of people have this like certain way of thinking about something, but not realizing there's other ways of tackling something to get to the same end result.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hope, yeah.
It's really, really tough to if everybody could look at something from somebody else's perspective, we'd be living in a, utopia. So, so it's really tough. And and I'm just as guilty. There's things people say. I'm like, what the, how can you think that? And then you think about it for a while. And you're like, okay, I disagree, but I understand why they think like that. That's what I would love to talk to Heather Antos and Kelly Sue DeConnick and Gail Simone and Mark Wade on my channel. That's why I would love to talk to them, because I can learn and appreciate the ways other people think, within the limits. There's some things people think that are just flat out wrong, but that's usually the exceptions.
It happened with the because earlier I was going to bring up something you're talking about, like talking to the other side. It was similar to me in that aspect of like the Snyder Cut. I don't know if you were around for that kind of thing, the Snyder Cut and everything happening.
I stayed out of it because I don't care either way.
So I would have people on from Snyder's crazy fandom side, because the people that I was following were like, these guys are all crazy retards. They're basement dweller. They drink cum, like all this weird stuff. So I would have them on, and I'm like, these guys are normal people. They just are a fanatic about this one director. But I got to see a perspective from that side, and I was like, oh, I don't agree with what you're saying with these characters, but I see it, Right. It's just, all it took was just me want to be like, hey, I want to have a conversation with you.
Do you remember, maybe, was it a year or two ago, incel was the insult?
Oh, yeah.
You're an incel. You're an incel. And then I forget which show it was. It was like a daytime show. They actually had a guy who called himself an incel, and he went and it had like a talk show with like these beautiful frat girls, or sorority girls rather, and these like beer drinking frat guys, and they sat and talked, and the guy was just like, well, I don't want to be like this, I like girls, they don't like me, and I'm trying to make myself better. Yeah, and it was just really cool to, like, these guys like, oh, I'm never calling anybody an insult again, because I used to make fun of them. It was nice, to see that.
I think there was a bigger content creator I had on my show. He thought I was an incel, and I'm like, well, I guess to some degree I probably am, but I don't. I always like my life actions to show things. Like, people know I have my own place. I pay all my bills on time, and the leftover money I have goes to like books. If it's not books or food, I don't want it, essentially, or unless like something else happened this week where I'd spend some money on that stuff. But I also feel like, I don't have to. Okay, so have you ever had this in life before you were married, where like someone would say the stupidest thing ever? They'd be like, well, I'm married, I have kids. And I always would ask myself, okay, what's your point? Because I don't mean anything. Like, a lot of people are married and have kids and their lives are miserable, because, you wouldn't know that because outside perspective. What they basically mean, for any nerd out there, is that they're like, I'm married because I'm a Chad, and you're a loser because you read your little gay superhero comic books. That's what they really mean by that. They're basically trying to put you down for not dating women because you read comic books. That's what they really mean. Because there's this guy recently that brought this up. He was like, I'm married and I have 2 kids. And I'm like, that means nothing. The fuck that mean? What's your point? He's like, it's all these people that, I have a famous friend. Oh, okay, we get it. You're famous. Got anything actually to say to me? God, man, condescending people are the worst. Like, I'm married and I have a wife. Good for you. What do you want to do with that information?
Congratulations. Yes. So most people. Yeah.
What's up, Yang Jing? How you doing, man?
But like, on Yang's channel, good guy.
Yeah, I've gone a few times. I like him too. What about? So I want to ask you this. Some of my favorite comic book stuff I was thinking about today at work. Today I was mopping the floor, and I was like, those concepts are really good. And I think these concepts aren't as brand anymore. Like now, which people have stopped buying the mainstream stuff. I really did like the idea of Rogue as a character. When you really think about it. Yeah, that's why she's always one of my favorites. Not the way she looks amazing, but think about it. Women thrive off like attention and being touched, and they're sensitive, right? So you create a character that's basically a succubus, but she's not a bad person, right? But that's her mutant power. That concept is amazing.
I loved. I remember when the Avengers Annual #10, her first appearance, Michael Golden artwork. Oh man, I remember that comic came out, and I thought Rogue was such a cool power. She could touch you and steal your powers. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if she could steal. Yeah, I think she did steal memories, because I think she took Captain America's memories and bypassed the Avengers Mansion protocols. And it was so cool. And then it was just a natural to bring her in the X-Men. I didn't like that she permanently got Miss Marvel's powers. You know,
Yeah, that's
because
weird. Yeah.
I didn't. I liked that she was a regular woman who could temporarily get your powers. But once she took Miss Marvel's powers, she became known as the flying invulnerable Superwoman. You know, and like her rogue powers, her rogue name really didn't make sense anymore. I think she would have been a better character if she, you know, if you want to give her the curse, she could take your powers away forever. And then, you know, Miss Marvel lost her ability, but, you know, she got her power. But, you know,
I wanted to ask you that. What is some of like, when you think back on certain comic book characters, because Rogue's always been one of my favorites just from the concept alone. What has been one of your favorite like concepts for a character where you look back and you're like, that was actually pretty well done?
Oh, well, you know, I love The Thing. That's one of my
Oh,
favorites.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good one. Yeah.
I love the idea of like he was good looking. He was actually brilliant too, in a different way than Reed Richards. You know, he was the hotshot jet pilot and everything like that. You know, which takes a lot of skill. He was the ladies' man. You know, and then when they explored his background, that he escaped from like street gangs and everything like that. And then, you know, he was good looking. The women loved him, and then he turned into this lumpy monster. You know what I mean? He was, and everybody else in the group got cool powers. You know, Johnny Storm could blast into flame and fly and turn off his powers. And, you know, stretching is kind of weird. Don't you think if you saw somebody stretching in real life, you'd be like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know, but at least he looks human. And you know, and Sue, she could turn invisible. Who doesn't want to turn invisible? And then the force fields is just icing on the cake. And then poor Ben, you know, he's just you know, he was the most physical, the most like, I don't know, man's man of the guys. And now he's a monster. You know, he's talk about an insult. You know what I mean? He you know, nobody
like imagine like him walking around like a normal person. Imagine walking around looking like that.
Right. People were scared of him, you know, and then it turns out like he's the biggest sweetheart ever. So he's just, you know, he was like a monster. He was on his way to becoming a villain if he didn't have a support group. I love that. Same with Spider-Man. If Peter look at what was going on in comic books at the time. You had the Justice League and, you know, and Flash and all of this like, yay, you know, goofiness and whatever in the silver, and then you had Peter Parker. If have you ever read Amazing Fantasy 15, a reprint, you know, of
the last time I ever looked up what the history of that book was, probably when I was younger. Because I told you before, I didn't have access to books when I was younger, so I had to read the stories and stuff. But Amazing Fantasy is his first appearance. I remember that.
Yeah, I think I have a reprint, and I think I'll break that out one of these days because it's an important comic. You look at that. Peter Parker was a jerk. You know, Peter Parker, and Kevin's in the chat. I'm sure he could correct me, but like the very first page, Liz Allen is like reaching out, and she tells Flash, "Invite this guy to a party." Peter's kind of a, you know, lonely guy, so Flash is like, "All right, hey Pete, you want to go to a party?" And he's like, "Stick it up your ass, Flash." You know what I mean? That's his response. You know, and then he's like, "They don't understand me. They'll all rule the day." You know, there was no difference between him and Dr. Octopus. He was. And then he gets the spider powers. What's the first thing he does? He tries to make money. You know, he lets the robber go because that's somebody else. He was, if Uncle Ben didn't die, he was going to become a villain. He was on his way to be. He was no different than Dr. Octopus. And I think Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, this is brilliant. This is at the same time that the Justice League were like, "Oh, my costumes turned yellow. Let's go to Jupiter and fix this." You know what I mean? Like that's what DC was at the time. And then Marvel has this exploration of an incel. You know what I mean? We this keeps coming back to this. He was just a borderline narcissist psychopath, you know, and then he becomes a good guy. He realized I effed up, and now, you know, with great power comes great response. It's just brilliant. It's like Shakespeare, you know, to talk. That's how. These are great concepts. I you know, and then same with Doctor Strange, the arrogant, sociopathic. You know, he's going to take the dangerous cases, not to help people, well, not dangerous cases, but the difficult cases to show everybody how good he is. And then the one thing he's good at is taken away from him. You know, and he goes on this mystical journey, literally this hero's journey to learn magic. You know, it's great. These are great comic characters, great stories. You know, I love. Everybody hates him, but I love Cyclops up until he became a deadbeat dad. But I love this guy who was literally his looks could kill, and he has to have this ultimate willpower, because if it slips, whatever he's looking at, which is usually his friends and family, are going to die. So he has to be this uptight stick in the mud, because if he loses control for a split second, he can destroy houses, he can destroy people. And I always found that him and Black Bolt is another one like that their powers are a curse. Superman never thought of his powers as a curse.
Right.
Green Lantern never thought of his powers as a curse. The Flash never thought, and that's why I love these early DC these early Marvel heroes. They're amazing. And then Daredevil, his father, you sit down, you study, you get out of this, you don't become a bum like me. And then secretly he's trading behind his father's back, and then becomes a boxer. It's just great. Everybody loved that first Daredevil season on Netflix. That was amazing.
There was that period point in time where the Man of Steel movie came out, and a lot of people were like, "Man, this movie got me into liking Superman because I thought he was boring before." And I'm sitting so I had to really think about all the Superman stuff I've ever I haven't consumed as many comics from Superman, but I know the stuff that I've watched from him. The good thing that the creators always have echoed throughout a lot of these shows and movies, the really good ones, is that Superman couldn't be anything further from boring. Imagine growing up and if he flicked someone the wrong way, their whole head could come off. Just that.
Yeah.
Not just come off. The head would fly probably at someone and then kill another person. That alone can't be a boring character at any point. I just don't get how people thought he was boring. And I forget the reason why. Movies and TV shows do that. Movies and TV shows, I forget, have a very big perception on how people view the characters in general, because that's what they've consumed. Because let's be honest, dude, they don't read the books. Come on, they ain't reading that shit. As much as they say they do, they're not.
If you think Superman is boring, it's the writer's fault. It's not the character's fault, because Superman is exciting. Mm-hmm. Every little kid, I'm sure you did it. I did it. You put a towel around your neck and ran around. He's the ultimate. It's the ultimate super. It's my favorite. Right. Superman's my favorite. Ben Grimm is, but Superman has had some bad stories. But what you were saying, when they rebooted Superman in the 80s, and it was Jerry Ordway. I forget who was the writer. But they had the John Byrne title. Then they had the other one drawn by Jerry Ordway, and I can't remember who the writer was. Maybe it was also Jerry Ordway, but he was fighting Brainiac, and Brainiac is a confusing villain. At this point, he was just like a stage magician doing mentalism. And he's messing with Superman. And then Superman just grabbed him. And you could just see Superman flying. And in the background, you see the Eiffel Tower. You see the pyramids. So Superman's just flying around the world. And he says to him, he goes, "You know what you did?" He goes, "You almost unleashed my full rage." He goes, "I'm Superman." He goes, "I have the power of Superman. I could do anything." He goes, "And you know what it takes to control the power of Superman? The will of Superman." He goes, "And you almost destroyed that delicate balance." And then he just throws him into a jail cell. And it was like, oh my God, I never looked at Superman the same as that. I always had a thing for these superheroes that had willpower and restraint. And I never thought of Superman in that category. And I love that. So to me, it's Superman
is a story that I know you're probably gonna remember. I remember when I was a bit younger, I was reading about it. It was an Action comic story where he was fighting Black Adam because Black Adam was there. And what Black Adam said in this panel was so impactful. He was like, "Man, you're actually holding back pretty hard." And then when he started hitting him harder than he normally would, he was like, "God damn, you're actually pretty strong." That means something. Black Adam is insanely powerful, right? I was like, damn, he even holds back against people like that, Because Black Adam was in this territory because he was tricked to be there and they were fighting each other. I was like, man, that's such a great story, man. That's pretty much Superman literally, if he went evil, everyone's just dead. Right. Everyone just dies.
Yeah.
So that's why certain things like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, those concepts can't work. Superman, if he's evil, would wipe the floor with them within less than 5 seconds. Let's be honest. He could grab his fingernail and slit all their throats.
That's why all of these Homelander and evil super, they're boring. It's easy. It's boring. It's I don't know. I just find it. I like like you said, this ultimately powerful godlike being who's on our side, who wants to help.
Doesn't want nothing. He just wants to be like you and me. He's a farm kid, bro.
Yeah.
Lifts tractors, bro. Milks cows.
Right. And when he shows up, even if you don't know who he is, you go, "Oh my God!" It's almost like an angel showing up. You're like, "Oh, wow."
The last time we talked, I forgot to mention this because people said if he lost Lois Lane, he'd become evil. No, and I was thinking like, no. In Kingdom Come, he lost Lois Lane, and he just chose to be like, "Hey, I'm done." He didn't go on a murderous rampage.
No, if he lost Lois Lane, he lost his. I don't know if the current continuity, if his parents are still alive or not, but you know what I mean. Like in the classic continuity, he lost his parents. He didn't turn evil. That's the thing. Superman, his greatest power is his intrinsic goodness. That's his greatest power. Then strength and heat vision and everything because Black Adam has the same powers.
Yeah, because like someone asked me like, what's a story where he lost someone where he didn't go bad? Kingdom Come is one of his best stories, and he literally doesn't go bad. It's because that wouldn't even make any sense. A character that's raised on those moral values lets one thing bad happen to him, and he just snaps.
Did you ever lose anybody? And then you run out in the street, start shooting people? People lose people. It's the nature of the world. People, my pets died. My sister just died last month. I didn't go outside.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. Sorry about that.
Yeah. It's part of life. You know what I mean? So why would Superman be any different? Lois Lane would die. He would be upset. He would be sad. You know what I mean? And he would probably Batman would be like, get over it. Get the Batman's but Green Lantern and the Flash, and especially Wonder Woman, they would be there for him. And then, like everybody else, he would pick up the pieces.
That thing is I get the idea of the Injustice story, like having them all clash with their ideals, but the fact that story had that much of an impact goes to show you that people just want their favorite heroes to go evil. Now everyone's sitting here saying like the writers now all of a sudden want the. If you look at that story, and I like Injustice, but if you look at it, that story literally just from concept alone shows you that the person that's writing Superman clearly doesn't think of him the way that most people think about Superman.
Superman is supposed to be old-fashioned. He's supposed to be a Boy Scout, and he's supposed to be intrinsically good. You know what I mean? And everything else should follow. Everything. And if Superman lands, again, like what is that island near India? Sentinel Island that has no contact. If Superman was to land on Sentinel Island, those people they shoot you with bow and arrows and spears and they kill you. Even they would stop and go like, this guy could be on the island. This guy, even though they don't know who he is, that's Superman. He's intrinsically good. He radiates like hope and love and all the best. That's why I didn't like Man of Steel. They didn't trust him. They wanted to arrest him, and people were afraid of him. No, that's not Superman. That was
like he's supposed to be the best person among the group,
right?
And that's the thing though. You have people who will say like, well, now they're turning some of my heroes crazy. I think Injustice was probably their earliest sign of it for the most part.
Yeah, I'm over.
Like as a one and done thing, it was like whatever. But the fact that people looked at that and went, "I've always wanted Superman to be evil and snap people's necks," is like, okay, what the hell?
Well, that's what Earth 3 was for, with the crime syndicate. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a cool story.
Had since the 50s or maybe even 40s. That's why I think Crisis on Infinite Earths was. It was no good. It wiped out this multiverse. That could have been all your evil Superman stories, and I don't know if you even know about that. Earth 3 was all the superheroes were evil, and Lex Luthor was the only good guy. That was the concept of.
Isn't it the Earth? Wait, Earth 3 is with Ultraman, isn't it?
Yeah, Ultraman was the evil.
Yeah, Superman. I remember. Yeah, it's been a lot. I have to start through. You're making me want to go through my history again because Crisis. I remember because that's the point now. What was the point of having Crisis on Infinite Earths if now within 2022 they had Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths?
I don't know, but did they undo it? But no,
it was basically like they come with some omniverse shit. Like, it's fucking crazy.
And now everybody and your grandmother understands what a multiverse is. You know what I mean? Like,
good Lord. I hope in your comic book you're not going to be going down the multiverse route. I'm not saying you can't do it, but
No. My comic book, first off, it's going to be each issue is going to be a standalone story.
Okay.
Because let's face it, it's crowdfunding, and I don't think it's fair to make you wait 8 months. You know what I mean? And then you're going to spend money, and then you're not going to get the rest of the story for 8 months or whatever, 6 months. believe it or not, we're actually working on issue number 2. So whatever, but it's gonna be self-contained. It's gonna be self-contained. So you're gonna get a full story. Second off, I did a video on the nature of my universe within my comics, and I'm gonna explain it with like a mystical character in a future issue, but there cannot be. Okay, so there's Masterswag over here, but in my universe, there is a multiverse, but over here there's chaos, and over here there's order, and when they interact, they form all the universes. So we are right here in the middle. So if you're over here, the laws of physics favor chaos. So the laws of physics are different in this universe. So there can't be the same conditions that produced Masterswag. And if you're over here, it favors order. So there's less chaos. So all that randomness that caused Masterswag to exist can't happen. So so even though there might be other planets, they don't even look like Earth, in other dimensions, because the whole nature of the universe, there are humans on different versions. This dimension, there's more magic than science. This one, there's more science than magic. So there's only one patriarch, and he exists and I actually have a number, because it's a frequency of light that reflects in this universe. But I'll explain that in a future comic. And it's funny because I was going to do issue 1, world building, and I'm like, nobody's gonna care. Nobody cares about a world building. You know what I mean? So the first issue is an introduction of the patriarch and a sample of my world, and then I will gradually explain more and more. That was one of the criticisms I got. Was one of the guys was like, this comic is just world building. You know what I mean? Like I thought, he said, because I find this kind of fascinating, but do you actually think people are going to be invested in world building the comic? There was like 25 characters in the first. It was
I'll ask you this then. Do you look at Star Wars, the first episode, as world building? Because that's essentially what that is.
Yeah. But they did it great. It started out,
Yeah.
We just that image showed us everything we needed to know about that ship coming over the planet.
Yeah. So that's my thing. When people say when people say like books are just world building and stuff like that, I mean, I find that weird that someone will bring it up, yet they say they like A New Hope, and it's like, well, that is the same. I think you can have a mixture of both. I think people are just not very always honest with.
Well, what I was talking about, like I was gonna have a 22-page comic book with like 25 different superhero characters. Nobody has enough. This was just me getting, oh my god, look at all these great ideas, blah 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 blah. And focus. What I was told. Focus on the characters, and then the world building will come from the characters. Now, like Star Wars, they had that scroll, and that was an homage to the old Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers that had this. But like that image of the Star Destroyer and the Rebel Cruiser, that was ultimate world building. Gigantic, overpowerful, ridiculously advanced society, and this little ship, small resources. You know what I mean? Everything we needed to know in that image. And then we came down to Luke, guy on the farm, everybody else, we were kids. We wanted to get away, move to the big city, get where the action is. It was excellent. And as Luke learned, we learned. That was the best way. Yeah. So of course it was world building, but it was world building done right. Now, can you imagine if the first episode of Game of Thrones, they just explained the Targaryens and this guys and that, and introduce us to all 60 characters, that would have been, but they did it right. They that's why we all loved Game of Thrones up until the last season, because they just threw out the characters, if you ask me.
And now, if you ask George R.R. Martin, he considers fans anti-fans now. If you're not the fan where you consume, don't talk about it, consume, he likes you in that way. He doesn't want you to have coherent thought or think for yourself, because why would you ever do that?
I thought that was. I'm glad I never read the books, and you get insult. The biggest criticism is people going, "Where's the book? Where's the book?" They're not anti-fans. They're saying, "Where's the book? We want to get the story before you have your inevitable heart attack, and then Brandon Sanderson has to finish the last 2 books." They want George R. R. Martin to finish the book. They're not anti-fans. So I don't know. The people who are like me, I'm mad at the TV show because they rushed it and they betrayed it. That's not an anti-fan. I mean, I loved Game of Thrones. I made my wife watch it. Next thing you know, we were both like, that was like our ritual every Thursday night. We would sit and watch Game of Thrones or Sunday night, whatever was on, I forget. And that like we'd have dinner, like oh my, we would talk about it. And then the last season, we were like, what happened? We weren't anti-fans. We had disappointed super fans. I'm not even an anti-fan of Star Wars anymore. I still love the first 3 movies. I don't particularly like the prequels. And then I watched whatever it was. I forget the name of I watched the 2 movies of the last trilogy, and I'm done. I'm not an anti-fan. I'm not going around telling people it sucks or whatever. I just it moved past what I like. I got no time for it now. I got other stuff. So, I wasn't online. Yeah, you guys are a bunch of toxic, whatever.
That's the thing is like what people mean by anti-fan is someone who kind of like calls out things that they don't like about whatever they just consumed. Because like you have people where I didn't necessarily disagree with what he said. It's more like the way he's saying it is not the way people are thinking. What he means is like if you criticize and you're a bad person, it's like no. Fans are going to consume something and voice it how they want to voice it, right? But I shouldn't just expect people to be like the other person. So like me and you should have different ways we like to voice our concerns. If you're more harsher than me, that's fine. That should be kind of appreciated too, because you want passionate fans like that. Right. Imagine if you just had a bunch of NPC drone fans just gobbling up whatever you just gave them. It's like, do you really want that? That's what they do. They really do want that.
Is that what George R. R. Martin wants? Then you know what? Then just finish your book. Why labor over it? Just tap out the first thing that comes to your mind. Yeah. There you go. If that's what you want your fans to be, why are you taking so long to finish these books? Because you obviously
I'm pretty sure you saw the quote, because he basically said a few days ago where like it used to be back in the day where you could just disagree with someone and talk about what you liked, but now he said that people just delight on shitting on someone who likes something that they don't and loving the fact that movies flop. And it's like, dude.
Well, that I do agree with. I wasn't a fan of pretty much anything after Endgame, the Marvel movies, with the exception of the Spider-Man multiverse movie, believe it or not.
Oh, no, yeah, No Way Home was their, exception to the rule. That was the one.
But I didn't take delight in the fact that they were bad. And I Masterswag, you like the Marvels? There's something wrong with you. I got no time for that. I just didn't see it.
Outside of No Way Home, I thought Shang-Chi was okay. It wasn't the worst thing ever. Other than that, all of them were like pretty bad for the most part.
I watched Shang-Chi, and once I realized that it wasn't a Shang-Chi movie, I started to like, okay, this
part that really threw me off, dude, is like, okay, his dad is supposed to be the smart like mafia dude, essentially. There is no way he thought his dead wife he saw on the floor was in there. No way I'll be convinced of that. Yeah. Apparently, he's this smart mafia guy that's been murking people for centuries. Yeah. There's no way he thought she was in there. He saw her body on the floor. I was like, bruh, what is this?
What gets me mad is I got a full run of Shang-Chi comics. I read every one of his comics. That wasn't Shang-Chi in the movie. Shang-Chi has that symbol of the yin and the yang.
Right?
Yang, Yao, Zhao. He was duality. He is the personification of duality. His mother was a British woman with blonde hair. His father was Fu Manchu in the comics. They couldn't get the rights to Fu Manchu, so they made it the Mandarin. That I understand because the Saxe-Rohmer estate who created Fu Manchu is insane. So I understand that. You got to change things. But so what? So now he was born in Hong Kong with the British. So he is a British citizen who lives in China. He's half white, half Asian. His father is evil. His mother was good. His father is traditional, stereotypical stuff, and his mother was a freewheeling, go-go dancing British girl. You know what I mean? Everything about him is two worlds. He doesn't fit in either world. When he's in China, they call him the Westerner. When he went to Britain, they were calling him Chinaman. So he didn't fit in anywhere. And he had this rage inside of him of his father, but he also had this freewheeling spirit of his mother. And he was brainwashed as a kid to be an assassin. And then when he was sent to kill somebody, he turned against his father. He was a balance, and that's what he was. He kept this inside by being stoic and learning everything and fighting at a last resort. Did that sound anything like the character in that movie? Not at all. He was a goofy guy who was, and anything Shang-Chi did, he was an expert at. You know what I mean? this was this goofy slacker parking other people's cars. This was not Shang-Chi. And then I got mad at the actor saying that I don't he won't sign any of the old Shang-Chi comics because they were racist. I'm like, explain to me in detail why they were racist. You know what I mean?
They can't because white men made it.
Yeah.
That's literally all it means. White men made it racist.
Yeah.
That's all it means.
So first off, that actor rubs me the wrong way. And second off, that wasn't Shang-Chi. So I don't.
You know what really threw me off?
Generic kung fu guy.
Thor: Love and Thunder was, I think, what broke the shit out of me. As you know, I love Thor. I love Thor character. I love the mythos.
Love and Thunder. Oh my God!
Thunder.
It's funny because when you said it, and I didn't recognize it. That's how much I hated that movie that I actually blocked it from my memory.
Such a shit film. The last MC movie I watched was Ant-Man 3 last year. That's
I
also
still didn't even see it yet. That's
good. That's not even worth your Disney Plus time. I'll say that. That's not even worth wasting hours on Disney Plus watching that trash. Movie's so garbage.
If you had told young me that there was an Ant-Man, first off, they would have been like, "Hey, John, there's going to be an Ant-Man movie." I would have been, "Oh my God," because
with not Hank Pym.
And then they were like, not only is there going to be an Ant-Man movie, but there's going to be an Ant-Man movie that you don't even want to see. I'm like, no way. So I still didn't. Are you familiar with Gene Gentry on Twitter?
Yeah, I've seen her profile. Yeah.
She's really good at cutting through the bullshit and just saying stuff. But they're talking about all the changes that they're making to the Avatar: The Last Airbender Netflix show. Like Zuko is not going to have the scar because they don't want to see children being abused by their fathers. Well, then get rid of Zuko because that's his whole point, that his father abused him. And Sokka is not, he's overprotective, overly chivalrous, and I guess therefore sexist. But he grows. You know what I mean? And then they're like, and we're not going to have all of these little side quests. I'm like, if you don't like this, and Gene Gentry says, if you're embarrassed by the source material, move on. Don't make that. If you got to change the source material like that, then do something else. You obviously don't like it. And I was like, light bulb went off my head. Why did they make a Witcher TV show when they obviously had disdain for the Witcher? Why are they making the Rings of Power when they obviously have disdain for Tolkien's works? I don't know about you, but I'm not an anti-fan. I don't complain about it. I just don't watch it. I don't talk about it. I don't hate watching it.
But that's also the thing too, is sometimes these actors and actresses be saying such bullshit that sometimes when you do check it out, like sometimes when you do check it out, it's not even as bad. Like what they said is almost just non-existent. But that's the thing, is how do you trust that based on what they said? Well,
I don't pay attention to actors and actresses. I don't watch their interviews. I don't even watch trailers. Like if I decide I want to see something, I'm going to see it because the trailers always give away too much. And if I don't want to see it, I definitely not going to watch it.
I actually never cared for Avatar. I wasn't one of those fans. I hate to watch it. It came on. I wasn't interested in it.
I loved it.
Do you think they're going to do a good job based off everything?
Absolutely not. I'm to the point I'm not going to watch it unless people that I trust tell me it was really good. And it's I'm at that point now when like something that I like is being adapted. I'm like, this is gonna suck, and like I just assume everything sucks until people tell. I'm that grouchy old man now. I've been hurt too many times before. It's no good. Like The Witcher. I didn't know anything about The Witcher. I never heard of The Witcher before this. I didn't play the video game, so I came into The Witcher not knowing anything about it. I thought the first season was just terrible. You know what I mean? And
I watched the first episode, and I thought it was just meh. Honestly,
yeah, I thought the CGI was kind of bad. Like I don't know. I thought it looked like a video game. I didn't understand what was going on. I watched the whole first season. They showed it out of order and everything. And my friend was like, "Oh, well, you got to play the video game." I was like, "Well, I don't play the video game, and I'm not going to play a video game to understand a show that I didn't particularly like." I never even watched season. It had nothing to do with the politics. I just thought they just dropped the ball from day one. But I like Henry Cavill. I
watched episode 1. It gave me that Game of Thrones. I mean, I'm not really into that medieval times kind of genre.
I love fantasy. I love Game of Thrones. I love Tolkien. I'm a Tolkien freak. But I'm not watching Rings of Power. They fundamentally don't get Tolkien's work. There was an Asian actress an Asian human, and somebody just said, at Twitter to her, which house is she from? And people just said racist. It's like, no, there's 3 houses. There's 3 houses of the Adane, and they're described. One house has blonde hair, one house has red hair, one house has brunettes, and the 3 houses of the Adane. They went to Numenor, they became the kingship, and now how did a black woman become a queen of Numenor when it was 3 white families that went there? And they had no contact with the rest of humanity for thousands of years. How do they have? Because of political, you know what I mean? And if you don't understand that, if you can't argue that, and if you don't get that's what Tolkien was saying. He was creating the lost mythology of England before the Norman invasion, because there was all of these stories, and when the Normans came, we lost these stories. So he was like, the Greeks have all this Greek mythology, the Swedes have all this mythology, but England's original mythology was lost. I'm going to write it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with white people having their white stories.
Just deny, destroy, replace. Yeah. And
what gets me mad is everybody. I mentioned Gene Gentry before. Everybody saying there's so many great African stories. Tell them. I'd love to see them. There's so many good ones, and it would be wrong to insert white people in them. Just like what's his name? Anazi the Spider, starring Ryan Reynolds. You know what I mean? That would be wrong too. So why are they doing it to Rings of Power? Because they have no respect. And you think you're better than Tolkien? You think your committee is better than Jack Kirby and Stan Lee? Mm-hmm. There's a reason why we revere these people. It's because they created works of art.
Well, it's because they know how to leave their politics at the door. Their politics are at the door. They do not let their politics. They did not let their politics get in the way of their creations.
Right.
A lot of people can't do that. Half the stuff we probably ever consumed is by a raging leftist, being honest here. But at least the ones that you do somewhat still respect separated their politics from their art.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, who isn't a raging fucking by large mansion person,
I saw one guy, and I get mad at myself for getting engaged in this argument, but he was like, the Silver Surfer was Stan Lee's mouthpiece, and he quoted something that Stan Lee said. I had a lot of my views that came out of the Silver Surfer, and I said, oh, okay, what politics did the Silver Surfer espouse? Did the Silver Surfer tell us to vote against Nixon? He goes, no, the Silver Surfer was saying this planet is beautiful. Don't pollute the planet. Why does mankind kill each other? I said, whose politics is that? You actually believe that the Republicans are like, hey, let's pollute. Let's murder each other. This planet is ugly. I said, he's not talking politics. He's talking populism. There's a difference between populism and politics. Every human being thinks the earth is beautiful. Every human being thinks we shouldn't murder each other. Every human being says cherish the earth. So Stan Lee is, if that's his mouthpiece, then everybody, the Silver Surfer is everybody's mouthpiece. That's not politics. I said, you don't understand what politics means. And I guess I got blocked, but who cares? But I'm just mad that I got engaged in this stupid argument.
Yeah. So that's my thing. When I get this final week ban, if a person's just spouting literal nonsense just for engagement, I am just muting and blocking that person. I'm just getting better.
The closer and closer I get to launching my comic, I realize it's only gonna I'm gonna alienate somebody, So what would Stan Lee do? That's been my philosophy for the past couple of months. What would Stan Lee? Oh, I'm sorry, true believer. I'll do better next time. That's what we got. I'm not going to fight, especially this election season is gonna be
it's gonna be bad. Yeah.
Oh man.
Because the last thing I wanted to ask you, last topic before we go, is art versus story. What do you think matters more, essentially, when you're making a book? I've always said art, because art is what's gonna get you in the door. No one's gonna know what your damn story is if your art is trash. If your art is bad, people will always say the art sucks. That is gonna be the number one thing they attach you to.
Yes.
There's a reason why people pay top dollar for good art on their books. There's a reason why.
Well, look at Image Comics. I were you around in the beginning of Image Comics?
No, but I do know that Image Comics had their birthday this past week. Actually, Mr. Rob Liefeld was a part of that. It was on Tuesday or Wednesday they celebrated their anniversary of Image, the founding of Image Comics. Actually,
I'm trying to remember the exact year. If Kevin's still in the audience, he'll know. But look at Image. That's the writing was non-existent. It was all art, and it sold. These guys were making bank back then in the mid '90s, early '90s with terrible stories. Mm-hmm. So for the average person, the average comic fan, I guess art is more important. For me, I got to be honest. Art is going to get me to, oh wow, look at that comic, because I can't read it. It's a closed book and it's on a screen, or it's on the, it's in a store someplace. So art is going to get me to look at it, but writing will get me to buy issue 2. Writing will keep me as a fan. I'm a story guy. If the story sucks, if it doesn't make sense, if it's confusing, the pretty pictures, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, kind of thing. So there's a couple of comics that I bought because, oh man, this looks awesome. I never would have bought them if the art wasn't gorgeous, but I dropped them after 2 issues because I'm like, all right, this story just sucks, or this concept is dull, or this guy is confusing. So for me, it's got to be story. I will forgive bad art if the story is compelling, but if the art is beautiful and the story sucks, I'll buy 1 or 2 issues.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, good art will get you in the door, as I always say, but story is what's going to keep people invested forever.
The people that read my script already said my story was pretty good. It's an introductory tale to get people interested in my world. And there is an arc. I haven't decided if it's going to be 6 or 8 issues, but what I'm doing is introducing the character. So issue 1 is going to have the patriarch. Issue 2 is going to have another character. Issue 3 is going to have a different character. And then I'll get back to the patriarch. And then the team will form, So that's what I'm trying to do. I don't want to start a team with 10 characters that, who's this guy again? What's this guy's secret identity? What kind, so I'm kind of doing the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Here's my
one
character.
Step at a time.
Yeah. And I just hope that you guys give me enough time to do it, because it's all on you. Like I said, issue 1 is on me, paid for it and everything. Issue 2 is whether, whatever. And I know at this point, 50% of the sales are whether or not you like me, because you don't know my writing. Maybe I'm a lunatic.
Maybe you're complete garbage, and I rip you apart when we do your reviews.
Right, yeah. Actually, part of me can't wait. I'm nervous but excited. I can't wait until people open it up and how am I going to deal with criticism? Because there's going to be criticism. Because I look at it like this: there's going to be 20% of the people buy the comic just like it because they decided they liked me. Great, thank you guys. I love you. Yeah. There's going to be 20% of the people who just hate it. Sorry, guys. And
they're gonna hate it just because you did it. That's the thing.
Yeah, they're gonna hate it because I did it, or they're gonna hate it because of whatever. Who knows? Whatever. A tweet that I said, or whatever. They didn't like my. I don't know.
Said you hated Joe Biden. That's the worst thing ever.
Yeah. So whatever. Somebody, whatever. And those people are gonna be and then there's gonna be 60% of the people that are like, I liked it, or I did like, So I gotta. That 20% of the people are gonna be the ones that are gonna occupy your time. This sucks.
I think it's gonna be the most important thing is the people that are gonna be in the middle. It's like they're gonna be like, it's all right. I can already kind of picture it. It's like, I thought it was all right, but this could have been better, and this could have been better. Right. Those are the people.
And those people, when they criticize, they're gonna criticize because they want to like it, they want to like me, or they have a legitimate concern. And that'll be interesting. But I'm saying the 20% of the haters, they're going to be like, this sucks, blah, 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 blah. So the way I deal with them, I think, is going to be the defining way that I go forward. Like, oh, I'm sorry you didn't like I don't want to be like, you're a jerk and you're an anti-fan. You know what I mean? If George R. R. Martin didn't win me over, I still didn't buy any of his books because I was waiting for the 7th book to come out. But
yeah, I'll have 5 kids by then, actually.
And what's her name? The woman who's playing Snow White. You didn't make me want, by insulting me, you didn't make me want to go out and see your movie. If anything,
What's actually crazy, I've actually seen every Snow White live action movie in theaters. That one I'm probably not going to be seeing.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, so these 20% of the people that just decide to hate me, I'm telling myself right now, and it's easy to say because it hasn't happened yet. But I'm going to try to kill them with kindness. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's what else can you do? Because they're not going to. They're not going to be swayed by whatever.
Yeah. What I've
But
always did with
I'm
haters.
focusing on
Yeah.
these people. I should be focusing on the 80% of the people that I got a chance with.
Yeah. The thing here is I think my biggest thing whenever someone brings this stuff up is generally like how are you going to keep people interested in the meantime versus your next issue actually, because issue number one will always do well in anything because it's just
Right.
issue
It's
one.
going to be a drop off issue number
Yeah.
2. Yeah, I
Issue
understand.
number two, and it's what's that saying? It's about how you start to how you finish, So when you get to like issues 2, 3, 4, and 5, I don't know how long you plan to keep the series going, whatever.
I'll keep the series going until
The wheels fall off.
I drop dead, or B, the customers no longer want to buy it, or C, Renzo doesn't want to work with me anymore. Because that's how much I enjoy working with Renzo, and I love his art. If he doesn't want to draw it, I don't know who could I work with that's that quality of art.
You can always do Mags Visaggio. I hear she needs a job.
Yeah, well, she can't draw. Yeah.
Or write.
I need an artist. But I got 20 issues plotted. I got a couple of issues scripted already, and I'm kind of holding back on doing more because it would just kill me if this doesn't succeed. And then, you know what I mean? I got all excited about all these characters and plots and stories and
as I always say, man, one step at a time.
Yeah. So Renzo said he's doing some character designs for issue number 2 already. I can't wait to see them. So
okay. The other thing, last thing I asked you, compared to your book, I know you're really excited about it. How many pages do you have completed though?
I was
told it's going to be 22 pages, right?
It's 22 pages for the main story, and then I have a 7-page backup ready to go. It's a stretch goal. Like if we hit a certain amount of money, I'm going to do heroic tales, and then I'll do unheroic tales. So there'll be a superhero story and then a villain story as a backup. But the backup isn't set in stone yet. So if we hit a stretch goal, you'll get extra. So there's 22 pages. I want to do a couple of do you remember the who's who for DC? Like I want to write up the Patriarch with his stats, his powers, and what he can do.
Like an encyclopedia, essentially.
Yeah, that's how I want to do like a monster manual for D&D.
Okay.
And I'll do all because there's a couple of bad guys in the first issue, a couple civilians that I'm introducing, the supporting cast. So I'll do right up, and then I want to do a letters page, but obviously I'm not going to have letters in the first issue, so that'll be like Marvel will be like, "Welcome to Heroic Tales," and so it'll be a letter from me, and then I'll give it away, but like some ads. I want to put like fake ads in. I want to try to make it look as much like an old Marvel comic as possible. So it's 22 pages main story, and then a couple of pages of support stuff, and then another 7 pages, maybe 8 pages of like an introduction page for the backup. So we're talking 30, maybe 35 pages of without real ads. So it's all going to be all comic book material.
Oh no. I think I deleted content that
What happened?
I think I deleted. Oh my god, my brain just went to the crapper. Oh, there was probably deleted something that I probably wanted to keep, honestly. But
I thought you were talking about this stream. I thought we got
No. It was something I realized that I just did. Oh my god, my brain is crap.
And I want to do some swag. If it's successful, I want to open up my own webpage, my own store where you'll buy glasses. I want to make a glass for every character. That's one of my things is every character is going to have a symbol, so they'll have a glass. I'm making coins. They're not here yet, so they should be here any minute now. Metal coins with the symbol of the characters, stickers. I want to make T-shirts, but I think I'm going to hold off on the first campaign. Try to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah,
maybe I'll get
people are literally there just for the book in general.
Right. If people aren't going to stick $50 into a new guy, and then make T-shirts and have it in my store available.
Well, man. Last few things I'll ask you is any big plans you got for your channel coming up this year outside of your book or anything?
I'm just going to keep going. I've been kind of neglecting regular comic book videos. I got to get back to doing that. I've been having a lot of fun with the conversations. So I originally wanted to do just Wednesday night conversation, but now I do 2 on Wednesday because I do comic book team up with RJ from the Fourth Age at 8:30 every Wednesday, and then I do a 7:00, and then Tuesdays and Fridays are turning into conversation nights too. So it's fun. I'm enjoying talking to comic book people. Whether you're a fan, a creator, an old school creator, a new school creator, it doesn't matter. I just like talking about comic books. So, I kind of got caught up in that. I got to get back to just showcasing comics. And then Sunday comics at 10 a.m. every Sunday, I take out an old comic and just do like a deep dive talking about it. Like I did my copy of Fantastic Four #1, Avengers #1, my Journey into Mystery 83.
You got a giant size X-Men in your collection?
I didn't do that one yet because I'm kind of doing it in chronological order, but that one is on the docket. Tomorrow I'm doing the first Daredevil #1 at 10 o'clock. Ooh. Yeah.
Okay. And last thing I'll ask you, man, is any shout outs? I'm going to give to anyone in particular. Anything else you want to say before we head out?
I'll shout Renzo Rodriguez is my artist. He's just the nicest, greatest guy. Marcus Kellegru is my moderator that's been moderating all my chats. The guy's as soon as I say something about a link, it's like he puts it out there. He's awesome. RJ from the Fourth Age. I don't think I'd be doing anything if not for him. He's like the guy that gave me a start. He pulled me on his channel and got me some fans. You know who else I got to thank? Comics Perch. I never met the guy, never interacted with the guy, but he retweeted, said, let's get this guy some subs. And, on New Year's, I was like at 900 something subs. And I was like, hey, the countdown's beginning, and not the new year to me to get to 1,000. And this guy just said something, and I got like 200 subscribers. I was like, wow, Comics Perch, thank you. So I owe him a debt of gratitude. I can't even talk. This is late for me. I stayed up late for you, Masterswag.
Yeah, my wife stays up late, and I throw her outside. Actually, No, yeah, man. Like when you do comic book stuff, I get so inspired by seeing like the comic book people that I watch. Not the like negative people or anything like that. It's like, when I see someone opening an omnibus and reading it and going through the pages, it just excites me. It's a lot of money sending money to these books. I'd say that, but I love it so much, man. I just had this newfound discovery of just reading comic books again and going through the history of the characters again, just stuff that I used to love so much,
Ryan's talking about 7-Eleven tumblers. I've had Odin, my favorite mythological character is Odin. So there you go, Ryan. Is that what you want?
I figured it out. Man. That's the reason why these books suck now. They're hiring writers from 7-Eleven gas stations, fucking hiring Fabio, Felipe's to write Superman. Hey, you're Mexican? Yeah, Superman. There you go. Get in there.
This is what they're doing. Like I made a joke out of it, and now they're hiring people that didn't grow up loving comic books. They're hiring people like your boy Zach for Diversity Comics said. They think of this as a stepping stone to something else. Mm-hmm. Roy Thomas was a lifer. Denny O'Neil was a lifer. Chuck Dixon is a lifer. Mike Barron is a lifer. These guys love lifer. Books. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to work and write and direct Hollywood movies. These guys, Marv Wolfman, George Perez, John Byrne could probably go into Hollywood and do storyboards and stuff. But these guys, Magdalene Fasaggio is already trying to get movie deals. And how long has this person been in the comic book industry? Less than 5 years. And they're already looking for bigger and brighter things. Look at I can't even think of the other one that did America Chavez for a while. She's trying to shop Netflix pitches and movie scripts. These people they just look, comic books, okay, and then I'll step over here and they don't love the medium. And I always said this, and I joke, but it's the absolute truth. If I was the Marvel guy, you're the DC guy, I'm the Marvel guy, and we got a candidate right here. Oh, you want to write Superman? Okay. Right now, I'm going to count to 5. Show me your comic book collection on your phone. Show me all your pictures. I can't hire you. You got to have stacks and long boxes. You got to have yellowed comic books. You got to have dog-eared comic books, in order to get this job. You know what I mean? Like, do you think if you're going to get hired to be the TV announcer for NFL, Oh, I don't watch football. I don't know anything about football. I just want this job.
Oh yeah, and come to find out, I actually hate everything about the sport and everything you represent. Actually,
Yeah. Why do they have to carry that football around? Can't they just talk it out? You know what I mean? Like if you're going to be the announcer for football, you got to know all the stats. You got to know Joe Namath. I don't even know football. You got to know all of these guys. You got to know about like the 1920s football guys when they had those silly looking Little Rascals helmets. You got to know all that. And if you are going for that position, it should be expected that you know all of this. And if you're going to write Superman, you got to know 70 years of Superman continuity. You got to know when I say Crisis on Infinite Earth, you got to know what that means. You got to know who Kurt Swan is. You have to. And if you don't know it, next, because you're going to tell me there's not right now, there's got to be 10,000 people who are qualified to write Superman, that love Superman. Why are they getting people who don't know the Superman's past? You got to, So there you go. I pontificate. I'm sorry.
No, man. It's fine, man. I love it because,
what would be your dream job? You said you were right. What character would you love to write?
That's the thing, though. Because that's the problem. I wouldn't want to create for them.
I mean, without a doubt, Fantastic Four. I always wanted to
write like if everything was going good and I could actually write for a character.
If we could roll back time to 19, to whatever, and then cut out this timeline and everything's back to it never went crazy.
Always give me Dick Grayson before I.
Really, Dick Grayson?
Yeah, because I've always I like the fascination that his character went through, the transition of, okay, this guy, Batman's really popular. Everyone's always going to see me as a sidekick. I'm going to make my own identity, go do my own thing, be my own person. I like that alone I can always respect, And then people like later on, and it happened throughout history, people started noticing him as Nightwing. He's not Batman. He's not some sidekick anymore.
Right. He became his own thing. And if I may deviate from, that's why Falcon becoming Captain America in the movies pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because he's his own man. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with being the Falcon? He's a hero. He established himself. He freaking, you know what I mean? He was his own superhero. Iron Man didn't become Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't just become Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I just find it kind of insulting to Sam Wilson. Now you're finally cool. Now you're somebody else. You know what I mean? I just find that to be just an insult.
Hey man, I love comic books, and I'll be reading Ultimate Spider-Man. I should be reading Ultimate Spider-Man #1 very soon. I did. John De La Rose, I don't know if you know him. He did hype me up a little bit on some of the stuff that I bought, so I'll get it. There was a Daredevil book that I bought. Daredevil is probably the character I own. There's a lot of characters I don't own too much for. Daredevil I own. I think I just own Born Again or something like that, or Man Without Fear.
That's awesome. Born Again is awesome. Yeah. Okay. Anything Frank Miller on Daredevil is awesome. Yeah.
Good Lord. Anything Frank Miller generally writes is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I think
I don't like Dark Knight. I don't like Dark Knight Returns. I'm one of the.
Did you like Year One?
Year One is awesome. Year One is one of the best Batman stories ever.
You know what happened in 2022? That was actually the most sold book.
Yeah.
A book that came out in 2007.
Yeah, Dan Didio was getting mad that DC reprints were selling more than the new comics.
Before we go, remember this year, I'm pretty sure you covered the news on your channel last year. Remember how they're going to do the DC manga, where they're going to be doing the compact comics, where they're going to take legacy stories, compact them into like graphic novels, and sell them at like Walmarts. So basically, oh God, that's such a stupid idea. First of all, books aren't selling because people don't know what the stories are. You could literally on Amazon right now type up Batman Hush graphic novel, trade paperback, and buy it right now. We know it's true. When James Gunn did that announcement for the new DC universe, people flocked to Amazon. All the stories were bought out. So people know how to buy stuff.
Yeah, it's just people just aren't interested. It's a good idea to get them in Walmart because you get that impulse buy.
Yeah. Being in big box retailers will have that effect. Yeah.
Get them where people could look at them like, oh wow, I used to like Daredevil, or little kids. Daredevil's cool,
Yeah, you're gonna have All-Star Superman in that lineup. Batman Hush. You're gonna have
You mean they're not gonna have anything by Max Fasaggio for sale over there?
Turns out its stories don't sell.
Yeah.
And she's begging on Cash App.
You ever notice that when you see people wearing T-shirts, it's all classic art. You know, it's it's like Jim Lee is like the latest that you'll never see. Like I can't even think.
Also, you'll never see someone wearing an X-Men T-shirt from X-Men Now. It'll always be an X-Men T-shirt.
Yeah. I couldn't even name an X-Men artist now, but you know what I mean. You'll see Jim Lee X-Men. You'll see an Art Adams X-Men, a Jack Kirby X-Men, but you'll
never see Miles Morales T-shirts. Just saying that people will wear Spider-Man T-shirts. It's Miles Morales, you know.
Don't get me started on Miles Morales. He was made to squat on Spider-Man in case the Steve Ditko estate won the rights to Spider-Man.
God.
Jose Lucius Garcia.
And to end the show off, because I know people might like Miles Morales here. So I know everyone's seeing the second market explosion with the whole Ultimate Spider-Man #1. No Miles Morales book coming out will ever do what Ultimate Spider-Man #1's doing right now. Actually making people enthusiastic about Spider-Man. For John Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
And he's with Mary Jane. You know, people want that. People
wanted to see a happy ending. People wanted to see him married with kids. That's it. That's the reason why I think the book's doing so well. Is because the concept alone is cool. He got it. He got the girl he wanted. He has the family. It's like boys all. It's okay. Before we go, oh my God, why can't we just do that in the main universe? Why does it have to be in a separate universe? Why can't you just do that in the main one? I just don't get it.
Because they invested so much in all this nonsense right now. And Mad Bomb Marvel. That's the way to fix it. And when Jack Kirby came back to Captain America, he introduced the Mad Bombs. And there was a Mad Bomb, and it would blow up, and it would cause everybody on a city block to go mad. And then they found out that there was a second Mad Bomb that would make everybody in like a state go mad. And then the third Mad Bomb would make a continent. So how about we have a story where there was an unknown fourth Mad Bomb that made the whole world go mad. And, and somebody like the Silver Surfer or Ghost Rider, somebody who's not influenced, they find the Mad Bomb and count. And then all of the X-Men and all the Spider-Mans and Mary Jane realizes we made a terrible mistake and we've been acting weird for the past couple of years because these stories happened. I don't like retcons. I don't like erasing it or Thanos snaps and fix it all or whatever. They address the fact that the X-Men have been villains for the past couple of years and like they work harder to fix all of it. So that's what we got to do. Mad Bomb Marvel.
And I heard the rumors that DC is going to be doing there's rumors of DC doing like their own version of the Ultimate Universe. Please stop doing that. No more. Just do it in the main one. What are we doing creating separate stuff for? So this is a problem.
We're all complaining people are complaining that it's difficult to get into comic books because it's confusing.
Yeah.
So let's make it more confusing.
Let's make a separate universe for the characters that we already could write good for in the main universe and then sell the same titles from this separate universe only to confuse more people. It's like, hey, how do you get the so what's the Batman story you should buy right now? There's Ultimate Batman, and then there's Batman from this universe with 3 different titles. It's like, fucking
you
hell,
say
man.
You say that to a newbie or not, their eyes glaze over, and then just like, because you could buy Full Metal Alchemist right from the beginning. It's not confusing. You know? You could buy any manga, One Punch Man. You could just pick up the first edition. You're not confused. You know where it's going. Or Naruto. Naruto might have, I don't even know. I'm going to exaggerate, 112 volumes.
Somewhere around there for the first one.
But you could pick up number 1 and you could pick up number 2.
The first series is 27. The first series is 27. Part 2 starts at 28 and it ends at like 100. But yeah, you buy volume 1 and you're good to go. And there's not 20 different versions of Naruto either. There's one of them. Yeah, for better or for worse, I guess.
One continuous story. All of a sudden, one issue he's not played by a 6-foot tall.
Black now, apparently. One is he'll be black. Next one, he's rapping.
Finally, Naruto is a black lesbian. Finally.
And the last thing I'll say before we go is like that's what's confusing is. Because that's the worst part of everything, man, is when you have an Ultimate Universe style thing like Marvel did, you have to sell titles based off popular characters, but then people aren't even buying the stuff that are basically these characters right now. It's like, so now we're going to do more. We're going to saturate the market more. So only Marvel could just reboot back to issue number 1s again just to get that bump in sales. Like, good Lord. I hate the propaganda sometimes. Thank you, man, for being on again. We'll see you guys later.
My pleasure. I enjoyed talking to you because last time we would talk about who would win in a fight, Black Panther or Captain America. I thought that
the next time we talk, I will probably tell you about the Clone Saga when I buy that omnibus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You'll see how I don't slit my throat, probably.